Revenge films.
One day, my friend Nancy texted me that she saw my husband and Bishy walking together. My husband, Bishy, Nancy, and I all went to the same university. Bishy was also married, but I had always heard bad rumors about her. Bishy always loved people's things, and because she had a great body as well, I've seen many girls cry after she stole their boyfriends from them. After stealing them from the girls, she would dump the guy as soon as she grew tired of them. I've heard that her husband was also someone she had stolen from another girl. When I thought about the possibility of Bishy going out with my husband, I knew it was greatly possible. So as Nancy advised me, in order to find proof of him cheating on me, I wanted to check his smartphones, but because there was confidential information from work in his phone that was unrelated to his affair, he locked his phone to prevent anyone from accessing it if he ever dropped it. So it was a challenge to unlock it. It might have been easy if it was just a password, but he had biometrics installed. So my husband was the only one who could unlock it. But now that I've already heard about it, I couldn't just sit back and relax, so I hired a detective. While I waited for the results, the only thing I could do was wait patiently. While later, my detective contacted me, so we decided to meet up. Then he was completely guilty. We found more than enough proof. I found out that he had been on a trip with her, pretending like he had gone on a business trip. For the past few months, my husband had told me that his parents got ill and disabled. So he asked me if he can send some of my salary from my part-time job to them, and I agreed. But that seemed suspicious as well. My husband also told me that if I called them, they'll feel apologetic. So he insisted that only he talk to them, and I never contacted them directly. Back then I understood his argument, but thinking back, nothing made sense. So a few days later I asked him about them, and just like I thought, they were nice and healthy. And he told me that he went to a hot spring with his father the other day. There's no way they're struggling to make ends meet and that they were disabled. I was so irritated about the fact that my husband had been telling me all these lies. But when I was thinking about how to punish him, my husband told me that he had to go on a business trip again that night. First of all, there is no way he has so many business trips this often, and knowing that he was just excited to go on a trip with his secret lover, I felt very frustrated. But I thought this was a good opportunity, so I decided to observe how he would act. The next morning, he looked excited to leave despite his supposedly going on a business trip, and I didn't miss him stealing my credit card from the shelves. He had used up all he can on his credit card, so I bet my credit card was handy because I preferred cash and rarely used my card. The next day after he went on his trip, or business trip as he would like to call it, my husband contacted me as I thought.
What's going on? Your card is restricted!
It was as if he called me, panicked that the card was restricted, but it seemed like he had completely forgotten about not telling me that he had brought my card with me, and he got really mad. So when I asked him why he brought my credit card with him, he finally seemed to understand and started mumbling excuses, so I decided to tell him the truth. I didn't want you to use my card on your trip with your secret lover, so I quickly had my card restricted on the day you left, and I no longer need your things, so I sent you. What are you saying? You're speaking nonsense. Where did you send my stuff to? I don't know. You'll find out soon enough. While we were on the phone, it seemed like Bishy also received a call at the right timing. The person on the phone was her husband, and he was furious, asking who the pile of stuff belonged to that suddenly got shipped to his house. And my husband found out that I was the one who sent it. He made a fuss on the phone and asked me to get his stuff back from Bishy's house quickly, but I ignored everything and hung up. I'll leave the rest of the fun to when he comes back. It looks like the both of them were panicking, and Bishy was going crazy asking what was going on next to my husband, and I heard her trying to explain to her husband desperately. So I knew things were pretty chaotic there. After that, they came home, but Bishy had to get a divorce now that her husband knew about her affair. Actually, I sent my husband's stuff to Bishy's house, but because Bishy lived with her parents at their house, not only her husband, but her parents also found out about her affair. Then they yelled at her to send my husband's things back to him. But I've declared to get a divorce with my husband, and this was the mansion I've always been living in since I was single, and it was under my name, so she couldn't send them back to me. So she had no idea what to do and cried so hard right there. But they kicked her out of the house, obviously, so all my husband's things were also dumped outside in their garden. By the way, in the case of my husband, I changed the keys to our room while he was on his trip, so he couldn't come back in. But I knew he would come over as soon as we got a divorce, so I was planning to move out as soon as I found a new place to live. After being kicked out, there was nowhere she could bring my husband's stuff to. So I heard her husband called for some help to get rid of all of them. Of course, he made her pay for everything that cost him. I obviously sent him the proof of their affair I got hold of after some investigation, alongside all his belongings, so she couldn't make excuses now. I heard that she apologized to him as she wept, but I guess she was finally being punished for what she's been doing. She had meddled with someone married, not just stealing someone's boyfriend this time. So I obviously made her pay me compensation money. Her husband will definitely make her pay the price as well, but she acted like nothing was wrong when she stole someone's boyfriend, but I bet she finally realized how much she had to suffer when she meddled with a married guy. It's too late though. I didn't know how much her husband asked her for compensation, but she had no other choice but to move into a worn-out apartment. And because she had been living an affluent lifestyle, she was quickly forced to go through a rapid fall into poverty. She was a stupid girl, so I bet she thought she'll just find someone rich to support her financially, and she started dating another man. But it turns out he was married into the family of the large corporate owner. So they found out about their affair again, and they found themselves a great lawyer, demanding her to pay more than $100K as compensation. I bet she can barely afford to make a living now. Serves her right, though. On the other hand, my husband came begging for forgiveness.
I'm sorry. I was just playing around. You're the only one I love, so please forgive me. There's nowhere for me to go.
He begged, but I've already told my neighbors that I was getting a divorce because my husband cheated on me. So whenever they say to him, they would whisper about him cheating on me. And as the rumors spread, he was no longer able to step foot into the mansion. And there was a guy from his office who lived in the same mansion, so he told everyone at his company that he got kicked out after cheating on his wife. And the rumor quickly spread. Before I got a divorce, I obviously visited his parents to tell them everything, and now that they know that he not only had an affair, but they also got to know that he was using my money on her by deceiving me about his parents, so they were furious. And they told me that they'll break relations with him too. My husband had no idea what was going on, and he was unaware that I've told his parents about his spending as well. So he went back to his parents, but as soon as he got home, he was destroyed by his father. And as they had promised, they broke relations with him. My husband complained that it was all my fault for telling them the unnecessary details. But that was one of the reasons why we got a divorce, so it was obvious that I'll tell them about it. Maybe it was just like playing with fire for my husband, but from the perspective of someone who was cheated on, it's not something I could forgive so easily. I hope he understands what he had done and lives a life of hell from now on.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.